Alright, so today we're learning binomial expansion, and as I go through this video you might want to just pause me and take a second to write something down. That's fine. So binomial expansion. First of all, what is binomial expansion? Binomial expansion is a method to expand binomials like this one without having to do it out by hand, which would take a very, very long time. For instance, if we were to take this problem, this binomial x minus 2 to the fifth, and multiply it out by hand, we would have to do this. X minus 2 times x minus 2, distribute the x, distribute the negative 2, simplify, get the answer, do the same, then take that answer, distribute it into this, get that answer, simplify it, and continue on down the line. Which would take a very long time, especially when you get a number higher than 5. Anything higher than 3 is ridiculous to do by hand. So, to do binomial expansion, we're going to be using something called Pascal's triangle. Pascal's triangle is a pyramid of numbers that follows a specific pattern, and that pattern is every number is the sum of the two numbers above it. So we have a 1 here, and we have a 1, 1 here, and you'll start to see this pattern develop. There's just a 1 on the outside, and every number, 1 plus 1 is 2, is there. So my next line, I'm going to have a 1 on each of the outsides, and then 1 plus 2 is 3, 2 plus 1 is 3. My next line will be a 1 on the outsides, 1 plus 3 is 4, 3 plus 3 is 6, 3 plus 1 is 4. Okay, 1 and 4 is 5, 4 and 6 is 10, 6 and 4 is 10, 4 and 1 is 5. So you see this pattern is going to continue. This is called Pascal's triangle, you need to know it. It's not hard, it's just 1's on the outside, and each number is the sum of the two numbers above it. So what you're doing here is you have this power of 5. We're going to look at the fifth line. So I came up here and I wrote out the fifth line. 1, 5, 10, 10, 5, 1. And again, this is just a shortcut for doing this problem, or problems like these. So first, I see this x. I take the first term, x. My second term is negative 2. But I take my first term, and I write it here, and I do it to the power, let me make it a little bit bigger. Okay, x to the power of whatever number is here, which is 5. Then I go to my next number, and I do x to the power of, you go down 1, so 4. And again, I got 1, 5, 10, 10, 5, 1 from this line, and I knew to use this line because it's 5. So I want the fifth line, and each line is named for the second number in the line. So 1, 5, 10, 10, 5, 1. 1, 5, 10, 10, 5, 1. Okay, so I start with x to the fifth. Now I go x to the fourth. Here I'm going to just keep going down. X cubed, x squared. This would be x to the first. I don't need to write to the first. And this one actually x to the power of 0, so we don't have to write that at all. Then I'm going to do the same thing, but with negative 2, and I have to start on the opposite end. So I'm going to do negative 2 to the power of 5. And then here, I'm going to do negative 2 to the power of 4. Then I will do negative 2 to the power of 3. And here I have negative 2 to the power of 2. And lastly, negative 2 to the power of 1. And this would be negative 2 to the power of 0, which I don't have to write at all. So my last step is just to simplify all this. 1x to the fifth is just going to give me simply x to the fifth. 5x to the fourth times negative 2. 5 times negative 2 is minus 10. So I'm going to get minus 10 x to the fourth. Okay. Now I get negative 2 squared. A negative 2 times negative 2 is positive 4. So I get positive 4 times 10 is positive 40. So I get plus 40 x to the third power. Then I get negative 2 cubed. That's negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2, which is negative 2 times negative 2 is 4. 4 times negative 2 is negative 8. Negative 8 times 10, that's negative 80 x squared. Okay. Then I have here negative 2 to the fourth is going to be 16. 16 times 5 would be 80 as well. So it's going to be positive 80 because negative to an even power is going to be a positive. So positive 80 plus 80 x. And then lastly I just have negative 2 to the fifth, which is 2, 4, 8, 16, 32. But it's negative because it's an odd power. Minus 32. And that is my answer. And it took me a bit of time, but it would have taken me much longer to do this.